Over the past few videos, we've been trying to explain to you the reasons why we believe that everything that you've ever learned about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. And in this video, what we want to do is to be able to share with you some specific examples of how the conversion formula has been utilized and applied to our clients and their marketing and advertising campaigns, and show you the result that they've received. The conversion equation has four main components. The first component is called interrupt. This is simply the process of getting qualified prospects to pay attention to your marketing. This is often accomplished by affecting the prospect emotionally. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? Unfortunately, it's a lot more difficult to pull this off in real life unless you understand what you're about to learn here. The second component is engage. Once the prospect is interrupted, it's critical to give the reader the promise that information is forthcoming that will help the prospect make the best decision possible, or in other words, facilitate their decision-making process. This is also best accomplished on an emotional level. The third component is educate. Once you've interrupted and engaged the prospect, you have to give them information that allows them to logically understand how and why you solve the emotional problem that they have. This is accomplished by giving them detailed, quantifiable, specific, inside reality revealing information. And this turns the corner from an emotional sell. Remember, you interrupted and engaged them based on emotional hot buttons, to a logical sell. This is easy to do if you just follow the conversion equation. The fourth and final component of the conversion equation is the offer. Now that the prospect has been interrupted based on problems that are important to them emotionally, engaged by the promise of a solution to that emotional problem, and they've examined the educational information that makes your solution to that emotional problem real and believable. So the last step is for you to give the prospect a low, or better yet, no risk for them to take the next step in the sales process. This can be done by offering a free marketing tool, such as a report, a brochure, seminar, audio or video recording, or something similar. All these things educate them even more, so that the prospect feels in complete control of the decision-making process. This conversion equation follows the formula for what marketing is supposed to do in the first place. In fact, at this point, we can simply say that marketing's job is to interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. Remember earlier we discussed that if you want to know why Jane Doe buys what Jane Doe buys, you've got to see the world through Jane Doe's eyes, right? Well, if you want to know what Jane Doe sees, you'd first better understand how Jane Doe's brain works. And when it comes to actually writing the marketing, we typically like to portray hot buttons in the form of headlines. The headline is the first opportunity you have to interrupt Jane Doe. You've got maybe 1 to 3 seconds maximum to interrupt the prospect. So you'd better make sure that the headline has activators in it. And those activators are based on things that are important and relevant to the prospect. Remember, you need to focus on hot buttons, those words and phrases that describe problems or frustrations that the prospect is feeling, so that their reticular activator latches onto them and snaps them into uptime. In print advertising, magazines, newspaper, yellow pages, and so forth, the form of headline is obvious. In radio, the headline is the first sentence that they hear. In Google AdWords, it's the first bit of text that they read. On television, it's the first thing they see and hear. In brochures, business cards, other marketing collateral, and your company website, it's the first thing they see. Let me give you 2 quick examples. First for a daycare, and second for a child psychologist who works with kids on behavioral problems. Remember the hot buttons. They're the words or phrases that describe the problems or frustrations that the prospect is feeling, so that their reticular activator latches onto them and snaps them into uptime. So here's our example, a daycare provider. When I was working with a daycare client, I was asking them why parents would choose them instead of the 17 other local daycares that are in the area. And they almost always gave me the same boring answers. High quality, they pay attention to detail, we supervise our staff better, we're honest, we've taken care of more than 200 kids, and blah, 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 blah. Nothing but jargon. Unfortunately, this exact same jargon shows up in boring, ineffective headlines. For instance, when I looked at the marketing for some of these daycare clients, they said things like, they were safe and nurturing. They optimize your child's development, acclaimed by thousands of parents, accredited by industry professionals, leader in early childhood care and education. Those were all real headlines from real ads. Jargon and more jargon. All these headlines speak to the daycare, not to the prospect. You could place the word we in front of all that jargon and it would fit perfectly. We optimize your child's development. We are acclaimed by thousands of parents. We're accredited by industry professionals, a nurturing and creative environment, and that we optimize your child's development. It's all about them. Prospects don't care about the daycare. They care about themselves and their kids. None of those headlines address the problems or concerns of the parents, do they? If you really want to interrupt John and Jane Doe, you've got to use much more powerful language than to get them to respond on an emotional level. So how about this for a headline to effectively communicate the concept of a safe, nurturing, and creative environment? Ever felt like your daycare treated your child like a number instead of a little person? Or how about this one, to convey being a leader in early childhood and education? Is your daycare's idea of good education curriculum watching Barney or Dora on TV? Or this one, introducing a daycare center that doesn't consider mac and cheese to be one of the 4 major food groups? All 3 of these headlines work in tandem with close-up pictures that work to reinforce this powerful and compelling message. That headline that said, ever felt like your daycare treated your child like a number instead of a little person? Next to it is a 4-year-old child sitting in a corner with his head buried in his hands, crying. Talk about powerful, emotional, and compelling. That is what it's going to take to interrupt. You see how these headlines speak to the issues of the prospect instead of the daycare? See how they reflect a fanatical attention to detail that is the foundation of the daycare's inside reality? Well, of course you do, because it's obvious. Here's another client's example. A child psychologist. They work with kids with behavioral problems. Most of these types of professionals say things like, we offer parenting advice and resources. We can get your child under control. We'll help you learn the secrets of a well-behaved child. And as a parent with an out-of-control child, why would I want to know the secrets of a well-behaved child? No one seems to be getting it, that everything you know about marketing is wrong. If you have a child that embarrasses you in public, that is basically uncontrollable and unmanageable, then aren't you desperate for a solution to that behavior? As a parent with an out-of-control child, why would I want to know the secrets of a well-behaved child? See what I'm getting at? Everything you know about marketing is wrong. If you have a child that embarrasses you in public that's basically uncontrollable, then I'm desperate for a solution to that behavior, not a well-behaved child. So what if the child psychologist headline read, are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming, and belligerent attitude of your child? Doesn't that immediately address the conversation going on in the heads of these parents? Won't that headline immediately interrupt them and knock them out of downtime and into uptime? So here's another example of a client, a moving company. Most movers' ads and websites have headlines that say something brilliant like, we move things. We have their company name in the headline along the top of the website, local and long distance. However, by changing their marketing so that it follows the conversion equation, their new ad and web copy pulled in an astounding 12 times more responses than the original ad. And it went from averaging 70 calls a month to over 950 calls a month. And their conversion rate skyrocketed from 16% to 68%. So those kinds of results were generated by this. This was their new ad and website that we featured. It said last year there were over 4,350 complaints and lawsuits were filed against moving companies. Did that grab their attention? You bet. Because it hits on the prospect's hot buttons of uncertainty and problems that might arise when they move. They're focused on the customer and their emotions. Then they go on to describe what to look for and what to watch out for when moving. It educates the prospect as to what standards they should use to find the best value when hiring a moving company. This moving company, by just changing their ad and what it said, went from generating 11 sales a month to a whopping 649 sales a month. Their new ad generated so much new business that they had to partner with 4 of their competitors to help them handle the demand for their new services. And interestingly enough, those same 4 competitors bought out that moving company 9 months later for over $2 million, all due to the fact that the conversion equation doing their marketing was working so well. Okay, to wrap up this discussion about interrupt and engage, let me address the topic of engage specifically for just a moment. To successfully engage, all you have to do is use a headline or a subheadline that promises the reader that if they will keep reading or listening to the ad, that they will get the information that will facilitate their making the best decision possible. Not sales information, not here's how great we are, but rather bona fide decision facilitating information. Sometimes the headline itself will engage, but more frequently, it's a subheadline that makes the promise to educate and therefore engages. Let's go back to the daycare ad and continue with that example. Remember the one that had the headline that said, "Ever felt like your daycare treated your child like a number instead of a little person?" The follow-up engage subheadline would simply say, "How to ensure your child gets personal, loving, caring, one-on-one attention at a daycare." Or the headline that said, "Is your daycare's idea of a good educational curriculum watching Barney or Dora on TV?" The follow-up headline that engages says, "How would you like your child to be reading at a first grade level before starting kindergarten?" In both cases, these subheadlines clarify the first headline and let the reader know that if they keep reading the ad, they can expect to find specific details regarding each of these major hot-button issues. In short, the subheadlines engage. The child psychologists that use the headline, "Are you sick and tired of yelling, screaming, and belligerent children?" The child psychologists that use the headline, "Are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming, and belligerent attitude of your child?" His subline said this: "Now you can discover the secrets of controlling your child and instantly restore peace and quiet to your home." Show me one parent experiencing that sort of behavior from their own child who wouldn't immediately respond to this ad. The moving ad. They had the headline, "Last year, over 4,350 complaints and lawsuits were filed against moving companies in Dallas." It had a subheadline that reads as follows: "Ask these 15 questions to make sure that your moving company's policies, procedures, and standards will protect you from an unpleasant moving experience." So what do you think you might find if you decide to keep reading in the rest of this ad or this website? That's right, 15 things to be aware of and to look for when choosing a mover. The sub-headline engages the reader to continue reading and to find out the decision facilitating information that they need and want. At any given moment, the number of prospects who are ready to buy right now represent no more than 1 to 5% of all of those who are ultimately going to buy what you have to sell. You've got 95 to 99% of your prospects who are in the thinking about it and information gathering stage. But when they're attempting to gather information, we don't give it to them. The educational process provides the opportunity for all of us to provide additional educational information so that we can help them learn more about what is important in making a good and positive decision, and allows you to be able to capture valuable information about who these people are so that you can proactively market to them on an ongoing basis. The fourth component of the conversion quotient becomes absolutely huge. Your offer gives you the opportunity to provide additional educational information and gather information on your prospects. And in the process, this allows you to take control of your target market and the information that you share. Every marketing piece should contain a risk-lowering offer to encourage your prospect to take the next step. The nature of that offer is that they receive additional information that will further educate the prospect and build your case, and also establish you as the industry expert. The real key to success in marketing is the right offer allows you to capture a large percentage of the future buyers in addition to those people that are looking to buy right now. There's an educational process that the prospect is going through from the moment they begin thinking about buying your product or service to the point where they actually complete the purchase. It's that timeline that you want to be part of. Most marketing only caters to those now buyers who will be making a purchase decision in the very near future. It does nothing or very little to educate those who are just thinking about it right now, but who are going to buy later. Here's the problem with that. The daycare that we've been talking about makes a perfect example of this. How many of the parents that see this ad for daycare remember that one of the ads said, "Ever felt like your daycare treated your child like a number instead of a little person?" Or the one that said, "Is your daycare's idea of good educational curriculum watching Barney on TV?" Remember those? Well, how many of those readers do you think are ready and waiting to relocate their kid from their current daycare to this daycare and were relieved to see the ad so that they can finally make a switch? My guess is less than 1% are now buyers. But because of the headline and the sub-headline and the images are so powerful, because they do such a good job of interrupting and engaging, a lot more parents who are not ready to buy right at this minute are going to see those ads, pay attention, and be interested. These powerful ads could easily compel as many as 10, 15, or even 25% of the parents who read these ads to seriously contemplate changing daycare services when that time is right for them. But if the ad's only offer is the typical one that most daycares put in their ads, call for a free consultation, then none of these future buyers are going to call. Why would they? If you're not ready to make a change, why on earth would you call now for a free consultation? Most won't. Furthermore, the ad itself is relatively limited in size, and the daycare can't possibly cram their entire case with all of its associated evidence right there in the ad. It won't fit. This is why we recommend a daycare to provide what we call an informational offer. What if they offered everyone who calls a free report, the 10 things your daycare may not tell you? This report uncovers the 10 critical areas all parents must know and investigate before they place their kids with anyone offering daycare services. This revealing report compares the 17 most popular area daycares against each other in all of these 10 areas, saving the parents time, effort, and energy when making the important decision about who will watch their children. But here's the real neat part about having this type of offer. When the parents do call in or go online and request the free report, the daycare can now capture the prospect's contact information and proactively market to them from now until forever. Now you've identified your ideal clients. With all of this information, we can continue to be able to share these ads and market to these prospects so that when the time is right, they will come and visit with them. The conversion equation: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. That equation is literally the backbone of all the incredibly successful marketing campaigns that we've put together. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. You can probably tell from the depth of information in this presentation that we have a bona fide step-by-step system that helps small business owners improve and increase the results of their marketing and makes their phone ring. Our passion is for the small business owner who has to scrape and fight and battle every day to be able to earn a living. Our system will help you reach whatever you consider to be the pinnacle of your life. Hopefully it'll be financial freedom for you and your family and the ability to do whatever you want with your time and money. We're offering you compelling and successful marketing that can provide you with financial freedom to reach your true life's ambition. Let us help you reach that goal. We have the tools, resources, and support to help you accomplish this in record time. Just give us a chance and we can show you how we can help.